Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello, Earthlings, and welcome to Toon Jam. I'm Matt.
And I'm James.
And today we are taking a trip into outer space as we talk about Elliott from Earth. What is Elliott from Earth, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. Elliott from Earth is a British animated television series created by Guillaume Cassuto. That's what I'm going with. Again, as always, apologies for my pronunciation, for Cartoon Network. Produced by Cartoon Network Studios Europe, it premiered in the United Kingdom on March 6th, 2021, and in the United States on March 29th, 2021. The show centres on a young boy named Elliott, who finds himself and his single mother living on a spaceship called the Centrium, which consists of aliens from all corners of the universe, while trying to work out who brought them there and why they make a new home for themselves and encounter new friends. So the show's pitch was greenlit by Cartoon Network Studios Europe, now known as Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe. Production started in September 2018, consisting mostly of the production team from Cartoon Network's The Amazing World of Gumball. The show's first season will consist of 16 11-minute episodes. And at the end of October 2019, the series creator and original showrunner Guillaume Cassuto, apologies again, left the series due to parting ways with Cartoon Network.
Oh,
so there you go. Pretty interesting. It's crazy, really, when you think about it, that it started production in 2018.
Yeah.
Like for such a. I mean, there's not many episodes.
No, maybe it was hard to
16
make.
10-minute episodes.
Mm.
So interesting. Okay, well, before we go in, what's Twitter saying about Elliott from Earth?
Yeah, Twitter seems generally pretty happy with Elliott from Earth. We've got the Centrium themselves, who says, I've probably said it before, but the score and sound design of this show is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, not just general stuff, but the score and the sound design in particular. Big fan.
That's it. That's real. That's some real taking note of the extra, shall we say, the extremities of the show.
Yeah. Really absorbing every element of it, not just with the eyeballs, they've gone in with the ear holes and they've listened to the show.
Exactly, taken in the feel.
We've also got Gone Snail, who says, watch Elliott from Earth, gamers.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if that is just like a heads up to gamers because they'll like it, or whether that's like a threat to all gamers out there. That you better watch Elliott from Earth.
Maybe they have a high following of gamers.
Maybe, yeah.
Saying, I know you're listening, gamers.
Yeah, this could be a transcribed Twitch stream, actually. That just could be how they talk.
Could be.
Gamers could be tacked on to the end of it, almost every sentence. So.
Yeah, but that's a straight up. That's like a recommendation.
Yeah.
Which is the best review of all, really.
Mm. Do you enjoy video games? Do you play video games? Watch Elliott from Earth.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Not bad. We've got Foodie McBooty, nice name, who says, I know I'm a grown-ass adult, but Cartoon Network's Elliott from Earth is incredible. If you're a fan of The Amazing World of Gumball, you're going to love Elliott too.
Okay.
Another recommendation.
Yeah, high praise.
Not only if you play video games and enjoy them, but if you enjoyed The Amazing World of Gumball, you're also in the bracket for liking Elliott.
Yeah.
We're all in there. It's widening the the Venn diagram of who's eligible to enjoy this show.
It's forever growing.
Circle the growers. And then finally, we've got a J Rock thing who says, Elliott from Earth feels like a movie. WTF.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, because it's not a movie.
Yeah, it's not a movie. No.
It's not a movie. It's a TV series.
Absolutely baffled by the fact that it feels like a movie.
Fair dues, though. I mean, you're going in. To be fair, they're 10-minute episodes.
Yeah.
What are you going to expect?
That's quite far from what a movie is. Usually 90 minutes minimum. So you go in, you see 10 minutes of it, and it was in no way, shape, or form a movie.
Yeah.
But it felt
maybe because it's weird. You've got that 10-minute format, and then you've also got sort of a it's a Cartoon Network show.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not expecting that feel.
No.
From this show going in.
When they sat down to have their breakfast, they thought this is going to be about 10 minutes long. I'll probably eat my cereals, and then that's going to be it.
Yeah.
This is obviously not my movie time where I have a much fuller meal and sit down in the evening.
Yeah.
And then it just blew them away.
And then it's like, WTF?
Yeah. Suddenly you started spooning cereals into them. I started tasting like pizza because it's like, is this dinner time or something? Why am I watching a movie? What's happened?
Yeah. Okay, well, that's some good coverage. Twitter is a big fan overall. So, had you heard of this before?
No, I hadn't actually. No.
I mean, it's pretty new.
Yeah, pretty fresh.
Pretty fresh. It's not a surprise. I mean, it's May now, so it's been out a month. Because it's the end. Well, over here actually, it's been out for 2 months.
Oh.
Because the UK got it first, which is a rarity.
That is rare. Yeah.
Take that, the States.
Oh, 1-0.
Oh yeah, well, it's more like 101.
Yeah, that's about right.
But it's an honour goal, so that's all that matters.
That's it.
I hadn't heard of it either.
No.
Obviously, we're not as hip to the Cartoon Network scene as we once were.
No.
That is terrible.
The days
for a couple of guys that do a cartoon podcast.
The hypocrisy.
Give us a break. We found it. We're on it. Come on.
We got there in the end.
That's it. Give over. Let us be. Okay. Well, let's dig in. So to sort of go back to that tweet, the first thing I think you do notice is it does feel like the opening of a film.
It does, yeah, it does.
Straight away, it's cinematic.
Very much so, yeah. I think the way that the sort of the characters are sort of introduced and stuff as well, the plot seems to be longer than it seems to have much more to it than the episodes sort of give it in their time frame. It feels like, I mean, we watched the first 2 parts to
yes.
It's a 4-parter, isn't it? Like the
4-parter. So obviously with them being 10 minutes, I guess it's like a 2. I'm guessing when they show it on TV, they show it in 2 parts, like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure because I don't know how they show them. However, yeah, maybe this is 2 episodes, but it's 4 parts, which is interesting. And you don't expect it from this like short form, because I assume once they get out of that 4-parter, that it's just wacky 10-minute episodes.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Like normal cartoon format, credits roll, everything's back to normal. Like
so already it's different.
Yeah, and I mean the first part especially is pretty much just all introduction to characters and stuff. It does feel like the first 10 minutes of a film. Like we're still kind of, as a viewer, you're still kind of learning what's going on, who's who, and whatever, like what the basic premise is really.
Yeah.
and so you really don't get much by the end of the first 10 minutes.
No, and in fact, by even sort of the second part, we're not on the spaceship yet.
No, we still don't really know what's going on.
So from the way it goes, it looks like the next part 3, we might see the spaceship.
Right. Which is quite a long way to go, isn't it? For when you do compare that to, you know, your average Cartoon Network show of back in the day, like, you know, you get Ed, Ed and Eddie or whatever, like, and it's like, oh, it's just these three doing stuff. That's it. Like, you're ready to go.
There's no overarching story, is there?
No.
It just is what it is. It's, you know, three mates that, you know, play on the street.
That's it. Dexter's lab. Dexter, he's got a laboratory in his house.
Yeah.
Whereas
now, I think it's more of a trend, isn't it, in cartoons, that they do have some sort of ongoing story. Yeah. And even if they have odd episodes that don't match up, and I think I might be wrong, it sort of started. I don't know if it started with, but it was around the time of Adventure Time, where they had separate episodes, but then as it went on, they started becoming a bit more linear, and then having an ongoing story. And it would be something like something wacky happens, and then it doesn't necessarily mean much for the next episode, but Jake's now got a robotic arm, or Phineas, sorry. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. And it just stays.
Like occasionally something will carry over into the rest of the series.
And then I think you get it with, and then sort of as it went on, you had more ongoing stories. And I guess, I don't know if it comes out of just before, you know, when sort of cartoons almost, I feel like there was a period maybe in the teenies, maybe late noughties, where they kind of forgot how to make cartoons for kids.
Yeah.
And they were too serious almost. And then they all had storylines, but then they came out of that and you had these really wacky ones like Adventure Time and stuff.
Yeah.
But then they sort of kept elements of it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's where the progression comes from.
It is almost like novel in the sort of normal cartoon format to have something that then continues throughout the series. Like, I think how long The Simpsons has been going on for, and it's like everyone looks exactly the same as they did 30 years ago. Like, nothing's changed. Like, they still drive the same car and stuff, still live in the same house. Like, you know, it's exactly the same show. So when you do have something that suddenly is like, oh, wait, we're in a new episode and that thing hasn't just, you know, reset itself. That's weird. Like, you know.
Would you remember like watching Young Justice? So Young Justice is a good example of something that's like pretty serious for a kid's show. I mean, I love it, but it is. And it kind of, you watch the first series and you find out how they all meet each other, they become mates. And then the second series, they're all like 5 years older. Yeah. Some of them have left the team, and then there's new people, and you're a bit like, what? How's this happened?
Yeah.
This never happens in cartoons, and all of a sudden it's happening. And then after that, I feel like I saw it more and more. Whether it was the first to do it or not, I'm not sure, but it was the first thing I think I saw it in, that I really noticed it.
Yeah, characters disappearing and stuff. It's really weird. It is a shock when you're a kid, and it's like, what? Yeah. We're not back to normality, huh?
Yeah, strange.
So yeah, I guess that trend is like now evolved into like, you know, full-on story arcs and stuff, and like Elliott from Earth is, you know, doing that in a bigger way with a 4-part opening, and you know. I'm guessing, like, it feels like it's just one big story as opposed to, you know, general hijinks. But you know, I don't know how it goes on.
So, I mean, compare this to, I mean, we've never covered it, so I don't want to touch too much just in case we decide to cover it. But Gumball, obviously it's the same team. We've both seen it before. But that's like just like separate episodes, or nonsensical, pretty much, aren't they? Like just jovial things happening, just classic, 90s style short segments where something happens, and that's that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's to do, you've got that team and they decided they want to do something different, because it doesn't. You can see the similarities with Gumball, especially the art style.
Yeah.
It does look like it's got those sort of blocky lines and sort of weird circles that are more like, like the shape of a pill.
Yeah.
So they're like a rectangle with round ends.
That's it, yeah.
The name for that has escaped me. But do you know what I mean? Like those kind of shapes, everything's just blocky lines. Almost looks like an upscale Flash.
Yeah.
In a way. So it's got that, but the actual feel of it is very different.
And
it's got
more. It's a lot more because I mean, like Gumball's got all those different elements of just different animation in there, hasn't it? So you've got like bits of live action, bits of 2D style, bits of 3D. You've got puppetry. You've got like pixel art. Like Gumball is just a mash of everything all on the screen at once, whereas this is pretty like. It looks pretty 2D in general. Yeah,
and it matches across the board. So nothing feels like, oh, that's different. Like
I think for me it was like the font was probably the one that I was like, oh, that looks kind of Gumball-y. A rounded kind of font to it, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
And I think it does. You can also see sort of, it's almost like they want it. There's parts of it that I think are quite Steven Universe. And that has sort of a semi-ongoing story as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing like Cartoon Network are always looking for the next
one of them.
The next Steven Universe, the next Adventure Time, like whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that this starts with like a rock being the main part of the story.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, rocks, eh? They've done us real good in the past.
Give me more rocks. It's Cartoon Network rocks.
We're having a rocking time with all the rocks here at Cartoon Network. Rocks only.
Something to touch on as well. Another tweet, which I too was going to mention. The soundtrack and sound in general is actually really good on this show.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why it feels so cinematic.
Yeah, it definitely helps, as opposed to just sort of, go back to Adventure Time, maybe. They just had some lots of fun little bleeps and bloops in the background all the time.
which is like, it's funny because that obviously that fits for that kind of show.
Yeah.
But this creates a completely different feel. And it almost makes it like the jokes in it are almost more surprising. So I feel like it doesn't have to be as funny.
Yeah.
Because it sets a tone of like a not a serious film, but something cinematic.
Yeah.
Bits like that, you're like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot I was watching a cartoon.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
So
it does. It does make a big difference. It's one of those things that, like, maybe you don't notice a lot of the time. And I mean, especially in probably a lot of your favorite cartoons, like the soundtrack is doing a lot of the sort of legwork when it comes to tone and stuff. Like, the weird thing is, like, without a score and stuff like that, like not being able to sort of listen to them casually the same way that you would like a pop song. It makes you kind of forget that, like, how good they were, or like, what kind of mood they put you in. Like, you can't really, it's not easy to go to, like, you can't go on Spotify and be like, just play the background to Ed, Ed and Eddie for me. It just doesn't really work like that. But you probably find, like, if you did sit down and listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, like this puts me back in that frame of mind.
Yeah, you just sort of you can feel it.
Just how fun it is, or how silly. And this, it's very, very serious, and it's got those sci-fi vibes, because it is very, very strong on the sci-fi, This one, and like as it evolves, we go onto an alien planet, and the environment sort of really comes to life. I really did like the environment design on this. Like it's quite nice to look at, a little bit different. And I mean, it looks cool, glowing. Everything glows. That's always a winner. You can't go wrong with glowing things.
Avatar effect.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man, we don't want to go too into the Avatar effect, but having a bit of glow is good.
Yeah. And I think you sort of like character-wise as well. So in the second, on this sort of jungle world, in the second episode, we meet Mo, who's like a dinosaur, a little dinosaur who's super friendly, and straight away, like they give him, he can't see, so they give him glasses, and straight away that's like, it's a dinosaur with glasses.
Yeah.
What more could a kid want from a cartoon?
That's it, instant appeal.
Friendly dinosaur with glasses on. He seems very comical. Yeah. Quite a nice character. That was a good thing, I think. All the characters, there was no one that, there was no annoying characters.
No.
They all had their own, and they were all quite well developed in a short time. You felt you knew them.
Yeah, I think it was important to sort of like get to grips with Elliott and his mum early on, wasn't it? Because like they're whisked away from everything they know pretty quickly. Like I thought we were going to get a bit more of like him trying to make friends with the kid in the shop, but then they kind of disappear into outer space, episode 2. So it's like okay, maybe not.
But I mean, I can't think of many other cartoons that are like about a boy and his mum.
Yeah,
it's the main characters.
Cool, it's a cool duo to have. Yeah. You don't see it very often. And
it has obviously more of a family feel, and because it's just the two of them, obviously they're going to pick up more friends, I imagine. But yeah, it's just something. Again, it's something original.
Yeah, it did feel different to a lot of the other stuff that there's sort of been about. So it was nice. Like it's got a nice mix of elements. Like you've got those familiar sort of the art look of other shows before, but then it sort of takes it to different places. We've got a bit more science in there, and a few rocks for those who love them. I think they've got. You can sort of see why this was picked up in a way. Like it's like it seems to have a nice balance of stuff, I think. What they've done with it. And you do, the way that the story goes as well, you can't help but want to know what's going on. It's very leading in story wise. Like end of episode 1, you're like, well, now what though? Like you've just got introduced to the characters. You just kind of figured out that they've got this crazy rock thing, and it's like, well, where's this going to go? Like you'd have to keep watching. If you were a kid and someone came to take you away to school or something at this point, that would absolutely ruin your day, because you'd have to you need to find out what's going to happen next.
Once the sort of 4-parter ends, will they keep ending on cliffhangers like that? I imagine not. But at the end of the second episode, I was a bit gutted that we weren't watching more. Oh man, just kind of want to see what happens now.
Yeah, well, I have seen just through browsing through Twitter that the series itself ends on a cliffhanger as well.
Oh, right, so big time they are utilising that function.
Yeah, so if you're one of those who needs closure, this trigger warning.
Which I think is really like cliffhangers in kids shows.
Yeah,
I think it's almost mean.
Yeah, it's kind of shady.
Just because I remember as a kid the odd show, like you just wouldn't see anything afterwards. I mean they've done it years later, but with Samurai Jack, I just remember it's like, well, does he ever beat him?
Yeah.
Does he ever beat Aku? I feel like that's an episode and I've just not seen it, and because you're not really I don't know if it's the same now, but the scheduling as a kid for us, we've talked about it loads.
Oh man,
it's just like you watch it when it's on, and they don't, and it's not necessarily kids shows run on a different plane. Like it's about toy sales and merchandising and stuff like that. So you don't need to hook them in, because if they're buying the toys, then they're watching it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not like, you sat down every Monday night to watch it on HBO or whatever. Like, the schedule doesn't really work like that. They were just kind of on whenever. And I know Cartoon Network does try and tell you, like, it's back at 5 o'clock and whatever. But I mean, like, if you knew what days of the week were when you were a kid, then you were advanced as far as I was concerned. Like, you just do your thing. It doesn't really, like, what day it is doesn't really come into it. Start playing with your friends.
It's not like you make your own plans.
No, you just kind of do
someone else's, your mum or your dad or, your guardian or whoever is making plans for you.
Yeah. So, when you actually come to sit and watch the cartoon, then that is cartoon time. It's not necessarily a scheduled time for most people.
I suppose it says a lot as to sort of the way, like, who's watching them now.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily, I think their audience is they aim for an older audience as well. Because you've got the Comic-Con crowd, I guess.
Yeah.
And they can make a lot of money from them. And so on and so forth. Okay, well, with all that covered, shall we move on to the ratings?
Yes.
Coming this week is Cartoon Network Rocks. Cartoon Network Rocks. We've got all your favorite rock shows, such as the Flintstones. Yeah, they're cavemen. They like rocks. They live in rocks.
It's rockin'. We've also got Fraggle Rock. What? A bunch of little guys who live in rocks, and they rock, let me tell you.
That's right. And don't forget, after that, it's Rocky and Bullwinkle. His name is a rock.
Oh boy. If that's not enough, we got Gargoyles Daytime Edition. These guys are all rock in the day, and they all rock at night.
Rockin'. And then we have Gem and the Holograms, but this time it's all Gem and no holograms. That's right, gemstones and no holograms. Rock out!
Time to get your rock on, brother, because it's Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. You'll remember from our Patreon, Hulk Hogan loves to rock, and he's rocking it with all his favorite wrestling buddies, including The Rock. Rock on.
That's Cartoon Network Rocks.
Rock out.
So here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system. That goes as follows. Thumbs up. Oh boy, this is cinematic. Thumbs down. WTF. And shaky middle, Cartoon Network Rocks segment. Would that work? I don't think so. Okay, so it's thumbs up, thumbs down, shaky middle. You get the gist. So, Elliott from Earth, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have something that feels, a little different from the norm. We've got, you got something that, you got a mum and son team. Don't always see that all the time. We've got geology, rocking out, but you don't always see that. It's not really highlighted as something that's cool, probably for good reasons. And then, you've got this sort of cinematic vibe to it, where not only the soundtrack's driving it, the story's driving it. A lot of the environments and stuff actually look, they're sort of rich that it sort of looks less cartoony in a way. Like it looks like you've set up for a movie. It just looks really, it looks cool. It sounds cool. The characters are immediately likable. Elliott's clearly in need of a friend and something to do. and he loves dinosaurs, which, I mean, I think that's like, you know, I think as a kid you have to like dinosaurs. That's just like a thing. Don't know if it still is anymore, but it definitely was when we were kids. So, you know, you've got a lot of stuff that just rings home, and it's, you know, it's enjoyable to watch. It wasn't boring, and you know, you still want to learn more. You want to find out where it's going. So I think all of that makes you, you know, want to sit in for the ride, and I enjoyed watching it. So I think for me it's gonna have to be a thumbs up for Elliott from there.
Thumbs up.
A thumbs up, yeah. There wasn't
Nice.
really anything that I was like, I hated this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it was enjoyable to watch. It was, I mean, we watched 2 episodes, but I also wanted to watch more, which is always you know, what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
I want to watch the next episode. So that says it all, really. But like you say, you know, the dynamic of mother and son is something new that, well, at least something that I can't think of that has been in cartoons before. It probably has, but it's still nice to see. The feel of it was great, and it was just nice. It just felt fresh in a really cool way. Like it didn't feel like, it felt kind of silly in a way, but also not silly. It felt like, you know, it had a nice vibe to it that was, it wasn't, you know, just ludicrous. It wasn't just wacky, which is fine by itself, but for this it worked. And for saying, you know, one of the main characters is a dinosaur with glasses, it's just not something you'd expect. So yeah, it is. I think that is a good way of actually thinking of it. It isn't something you'd expect when you watch it, but in such a good way. And I can't really. There's nothing that I didn't like about it. It was just really enjoyable, really nice. I would like to watch more, and I hope it does well. So yeah, thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Not too shabby, which is a far cry from last week's 2 thumbs down.
Oh.
So back up, a roller coaster that Toon Jam is.
That's it.
So there you go. Well, what did you think? Do you agree with us? Do you think, wow, it is belting? Or do you think, hey, you didn't point this out and that was terrible? Or maybe you're like, stop saying that it's super original because this show is basically it from before and you guys know nothing. Well, you can tell us that on the 3 sultry rocks of the internet: Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Toon Jam Pod. If you would like some bonus stuff, you can go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Toon Jam Pod, and you can also go to our merchandise store, bit.ly/Toon Jam Shop, where you can pick up some. You can get like a Toon Jam face mask, mugs, t-shirts, all sorts of nonsense on there. So check that out. And otherwise, if you enjoy this and you just want to, you know, do something easy to help us out, then rate and review us wherever you listen to us, because that really helps us out. It helps people find us, and it helps us get out there. So otherwise, as always, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/toonjampod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you, and stay jammy.